Hi, this is Mitch Mitchell of TT Mitchell Consulting Incorporated, and I'm going to do a caveat before I go into the total uh, point that I want to make later on, which is just because I'm going to begin this thing by talking about three different types of leaders does not mean that there aren't variations within these three types, or that if I was discussing a different situation that I might be able to say three types of some other thing and it could be different than where I'm going. You know, a lot of people think that when you say these things, it's just so you shut everything else off and they want to ask all kind of questions. And I think that I can use these three and you can figure out what types of people fit within these, even if they're not totally one of these things. But most probably every single leader that there is in the world fits one of these three things that I'm going to go with here. So that's the question is, what type of leader are you based on the three criteria I'm going to give you? The three criteria are you a micromanager, are you a hands-off manager, or are you a consensus manager? Now, basically, a micromanager is one of those people who just needs to know what's going on everywhere and has always got their hands, in everyone's business. To the extent that it's almost like they wish they could do everyone's work, but they realize they can't, yet they're still trying to by trying to control people so tightly that people can't think for themselves, and there's always this pressure on them. People can't work well when you're just pressuring them too much. Yes, you need to know what's going on in your department, but if you're just standing over people while they work, it never produces good results. Now, the hands-off manager is someone totally different. Basically, the hands-off manager says, you know what, I brought you in here, I hired you, now get to work. You should know everything that you need to do because you got the skills because I hired you. Now, that doesn't really work because in a lot of businesses, things are different than another business even if you have the exact same title. Now, when you come in and you're in a leadership position, maybe there's certain things that you know that, someone just coming from something else may not know. Everyone doesn't know computer systems at every single place you go to, so sometimes you have to teach them. But hands-off managers don't want to teach anybody. They want you to come in and just run with it. And the problem with that is that if you can't give them exactly what they want, then you're in trouble. And a lot of times they don't tell you what they want. I've had to deal with people like that, obviously, and it never works out. Now, the consensus manager, I think that's the best type of manager, but people misconstrue what that means. It doesn't mean that you go and ask every single person in the department what they think before you do something. What it means is that you're going to try to be fair. Maybe you have a small group of people for certain things, and you ask them what they think, but the decision still ultimately ends with you. But you try to explain to people why you've come up with the decision that you have. And unless it's really vehemently that they disagree with you or they have some really good points, it's still on you to make that ultimate decision. But consensus basically says that you're looking to do the best for the entire team. You want everyone to know everything that they can. You want them to be able to work together, to be able to ask themselves, each other questions. You want them to be able to research things. You want them to be able to make a decision without always having to come to you. But you're the ultimate person. So you get the consensus. There's nothing wrong with the consensus. Some leaders think they have to know it all. They think that they have to do it all. You don't. Consensus basically says that I can work with everybody, and I trust you. And nothing goes further than giving people the opportunity to survive for themselves, to show how good they are. Don't believe me? There have been tons and tons of studies which show that money is probably in the last, if you ask people what are the top 10 things, money's in the last 3 or 4, almost always. People want a sense of empowerment. They want to know that they made a difference. Consensus managers help people to realize that they make differences. So I'm just asking this question, what kind of leader are you? What kind of leader do you think you'd like to work for? Some people like micromanagers because it absolves them of all responsibility. Some people like hands-off managers because it means that they get to do things however they want to. If they know what they're doing, they can succeed. Fine and dandy. It ain't the norm. It's just not. If that's where you go almost everywhere, it doesn't work. Some situations it will work. Majority of the times, it's not going to work, especially in a place where you have a lot of people. But that's my thought. Let me know your thought. leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And this is 4 days in a row. One more day, and I'll have 5 in a row. Yeah. See y'all tomorrow, hopefully.